Okay guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. So today I thought I'd switch it up a little. So I'm actually going to sum up a book that I've been reading, which I've got here. Is called S.U.M.O, acronym, but it stands for Shut Up, Move On. So there it is. Hopefully you can see that. But yeah, basically I'm going to sum up a chapter I've just read, which I liked. It's basically how to reframe a setback or a negative challenge you've faced, more like day-to-day occurrences, nothing catastrophic. That's probably go therapy for that. But yeah, this is for like day-to-day challenges or negative occurrences that may happen, and it kind of throws you off. So without further ado, I'm gonna hop into it. I'm gonna write the questions down because there's 7 questions to ask yourself. The first three kind of the first three encouraging you to kind of sit back, reflect, and analyze it. And then the next 4 questions, so questions 4, 5, 6, and 7, is more how to improve on that for next time. Okay, guys, so I've written them down, so let's go through them one at a time real quick. So the first one we got is, where is this issue on a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 equals death, finito, done. 2, how important will this issue be in 6 months' time? So this is going to help you see the bigger picture and gain some perspective. Number 3, is my response appropriate and effective? So you choose your response. Matter of fact, you get to choose how you respond. And then 4, how can I influence or improve the situation? So what resources can you use to help improve or influence the situation? And then number 5, what can I learn from this? So look for the learning in everything, even setbacks. And when you do this, a big reason why you repeat certain things or mistakes or things might keep happening that you don't necessarily want to is because you're not really learning from them. So it repeats and it will continue to repeat until you learn. And then number 6, what will I do differently next time? So learning brings change. And then last but not least, number 7, what can I find that's positive in the situation? Because there's always a positive, there's always a silver lining somewhere, even if it's deep down, there's always something. And when you think about the positive, it also opens up your mind to new possibilities. So yeah, let's go a bit deeper into these one by one. So that was a quick summary of these questions, but if you want to stick around and we'll break them down together and kind of go through them, then cool, stick around because we're about to do it. So these questions are to sum up how you're reframing a setback, because usually when something happens, I'm guilty of this, well, we're all guilty of this. When something happens, I always think about negative and if something bad happens, I'm like, oh, I'm such a failure. And remember that time I failed this and the time before, because not to get too deep, but part of your reticular activating system. So somewhere in your brain, it hones in on those, it's like filters information. So if something bad happens, it's always like, bad things always happen to me, or this always happens to me, this whatever. Like it's like when you want an Aston Martin. That's my dream car. That's why I say Aston Martin. When you start driving along the motorway or wherever you are, you just maybe not Aston Martin. Let's not go as high end. Let's go like you're looking for a BMW. You're going BMW car shopping. When you're on the road, all of a sudden you're seeing that BMW in that same model that you want, and it's like, oh, like you're seeing it everywhere. But then you don't factor in other cars too. So, anyways, to kind of help you move on from that type of thinking and kind of reel it back in and actually get a bit more rational with your thinking and being more realistic about it. So yeah, so this first one, where is this issue on a scale of 1 to 10? So this is going to really depend on your values, but the example he uses in the book, he mentions a scratch on a car. And for me, he was saying for him that would be below a 5. And to be fair, same here. Like if I had a scratch on my car, it would be below a 5. Whereas I could appreciate for other people, it'd be an 8 or a 9. So it'd be like very high up on their scale. So that just depends on your values. And then number 2, this is kind of similar to number 1. So this just kind of helps you put things into perspective. So how important will this be in 6 months' time? So if you cast back 6 months' time, can you remember what was stressing you out? Yeah, no, me neither. I can't. Can I? No, I can't. Yeah. And I'm actually going to go with an example of answering all these questions too, because I have my own little example I use, and hopefully will kind of help you out with how you can go about it too. But yeah, I can't remember what was really playing on my mind 6 months time. Nothing of substance, let's just say. So yeah. And then we got number 3, is my response appropriate and effective? So you choose how you get to respond, blah, blah. So this one's really good because how you respond ultimately is either gonna hinder or improve, help the situation. So you gotta be careful with your knee-jerk reactions, because a couple hours later, maybe even a couple minutes later, the next day or a couple months, a couple weeks, you're gonna think, was that really worth it? Lashing out like that, was it really worth it? So yeah. And then what can I learn from this? Oh, skipped one. How can I influence or improve the situation? So this is a great one because you're essentially focusing on what is in your control and not what is out of your control. So this kind of stops you from blaming the circumstances and kind of becoming a victim of the situation. And then we got a number 5, which is what can I learn from this? So instead of beating yourself up, going on a guilt trip, questioning what you could do better for next time, because life's always trying to teach us lessons, right? So, and mistakes are the best way to go about learning from them. So yeah, that one's a great one to really channel your inner coach, not your inner critic. And then we got number 6, which is what will I do differently next time? So if you repeat the same mistake, then you actually haven't learned from it. So what will you do differently next time? If you make the mistake once, cool, learn from it, move on, and that's that. And then last but not least, we have what can I find as positive in this situation? So this moves us away from seeing things in a negative light and it opens our mind to a new possibility to where we can move forward with more enthusiasm and optimism. But yeah, so that's like a quick brief summary, but I'm gonna go through my example of my situation and me kind of going through this, okay? So my one was, actually, let me rub this all out and now I'm gonna go through my one. Okay, so I'm back. I've written down all this stuff that I filled out. This was my example. This is how I aim to reframe the negative setback challenge that had come about for me. This actually happened at perfect time. This was the day before, so I read this chapter the next day. But yeah, anyway, without further ado, this is my example. So losing a personal training client. So this was about £200 a month for me. I rated it as a 4 to 5 on the scale. So the next question kind of put that into perspective. So will it matter in 6 months' time? So probably not that important to be honest, when I weighed it up. This happens all the time, kind of like used to it now, to be honest. Even thinking back 6 months from prior to this, I'm sure I probably lost 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many clients. Do I think about it now? Am I dwelling on it? Is it that important now? No. New people are coming, I've gained new clients, so yeah. Number 3 was my response appropriate and effective. So the current state was a bit emotional. I was like, it always sucks when you get that message, right? Like, I will no longer be continuing with you or whatever. So yeah, that was that. But then the next day I was more rational. I was more rational and I was more rational about it. But even in the moment, I still messaged back nicely and, what can you do? And then 4, so how can I improve or influence the situation? So not really much I could do in terms of, like, I don't want to force it, but anyways. But what I will do is keep consistent, keep trusting the process, trusting that I'll gain new clients, new people to train and help and transform them and help them in the gym, essentially reach their goals. So, also I can check back and follow up with them. So this person might want training in 2 months from now. I think they did mention that, so I'll follow up 2 months from now. So that's that. And then what I can learn from this. So people will come and go. I kind of treat it like a revolving door. It's great. It's great, but at the same time, it's sad because you create a bond with people, and really get to know them and stuff. But it's cool, like a revolving door. They come in, they get what they need from you. You help them hopefully help them well too, so they learn it quickly or quick enough. And then they go. So, and then number 6, what will I do differently next time? So this one was a bit tricky for me in terms of answering this. I thought, just don't force it. What will I do differently next time? I was just being me. I helped them do what they needed to do, essentially. So yeah, I don't want to force it. You don't want to come across as desperate. So yeah, that was my answer for that. And then number 7, 3 positives you could take from the situation. So mine was create it so that by that person leaving, it creates space, more time for business. So that could be content editing, just creating content. And then also it creates space for a new client, a new person to come in. So that's a new transformation, a new connection, helping someone new, just helping another person, and just putting good energy out there. And then also another positive I could take is I did my job. Ultimately I helped them do what they set out to do in terms of grasping the form, getting stronger, all that stuff. So yeah, that was my example. Hopefully this has given you some better insight using my example and just explaining. I hope it helps as well in terms of reframing a negative setback or challenge that you're currently facing, where using these questions, you can actually go, you know what, it's not looking as bad as I thought. But yeah, guys, that's me today. I hope you have a lovely Easter and a lovely bank holiday. Take care.